Hey, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We are one president and two past presidents of the Greensboro Regional Realtors Association, and we are bringing to you the latest statistics on the market averages, et cetera. We are going to be reflecting the first quarter of 2026, which is obviously an extremely interesting quarter. It started out great. We had rates dropping into a much more comfortable range, and buyers seemed to be responding to that, and things were kicking up and looking very bright and cheery. And then February 28th started the Iran war, and we saw a pretty significant pump on the brakes. I think the mindset of buyers and sellers changed. I think the mindset of Americans changed a little bit as we sort of tried to all strap in and see where we wanted to be and what was going on. The interest rates shot from about 5.99 up to about 6.5. There was a lot of volatility in the bond market. Buyers started to hesitate. The half point jump in the rates really affected some of the buyers and affected some of their enthusiasm about jumping in and purchasing. So I think a lot of folks took sort of a wait and see attitude. I'm going to kick us off just giving some of the data from the local market of Greensboro. We've seen some interesting changes from where it started in January to where it ended at the end of March. Just to give you a few very pertinent stats for the single family properties, month supply of inventory jumped 44.4% to 2.6 months of inventory. The inventory of homes for sale jumped from 391 to 526, which is almost a 35% increase. Percent of the list price that was received dropped some to 97.2% from 98.3%. The average sales price also dropped a little bit from 382.9 in 2025 to 377.3 in 2026. Average days on market until the property went under contract was 52 days, which was about 15% higher than 2025 at 45 days. Thus far, we've closed 464 single family properties in Greensboro versus 576 last year. There are 723 new listings in 2026, which is almost a 5% increase. For townhomes, very similar numbers. The month supply of inventory jumped 38% to 3.6 months. 245 homes on the market readily available. Average sale price for, and these are townhomes and condos, average sale price increased 3% to 261.8. Average days on market before going under contract was 60 days. We closed 146 townhome and condo properties in the first quarter, and there were 284 new listings. As you can see, we started out, and in some ways we've ended up stronger. I think what we're going to find is a more appealing market to the buyers at some point. They've got more inventory. There's not as much of a crush to do something and pull the trigger quite as rapidly. They can they have the luxury of looking at more inventory and maybe a little bit more time to consider what they want. Heather Dodson is joining us and Marvette Artis, both past presidents of GRRA, and I'm going to kick off to Marvette. Marvette, I believe you are doing
Guilford County. The month supply of inventory is 2.8 this first quarter as compared to 2.1 last year at the same time. The inventory of homes for sale last year this time it was 851. This year 2026 is 1,044, which is an increase of 22.7%. The percent of list price received is 98% last year versus this year 97.5%, which is a decrease of 0.5%. New listings, this is interesting. In 2025 it was 1349. 2026 is 1380, which is an increase slightly, 2.3%. Closed sales last year this time 989, this year compared to this year of 866, which is a decrease of 12.4%. It is a difficult time. I will say, Bill, I agree with you. The war and a lot of other circumstances have affected the market, but it's getting warmer. It's very hot outside showing homes, and buyers are showing that they really do want to buy. They are ready to buy. So I'm optimistic.
I am too, Marvette, and I tell you, rates have actually dropped. I think if the peace talks will continue and if we can get a ceasefire in place, I think that will help a lot. And I think we'll see that reflected in the rates.
New listings for townhomes in Guilford County. Last year, this time it was 405. This year, 430, which is a slight increase of 6.2%. Closed sales last year, this time, 275. This year, 232, down slightly, 15.6%. The average sales price last year, this time was 253. This year is 263, which is a slight increase of 4%. The inventory of homes for sale, 278 last year this time. This year, 370, a huge jump, 33.1%. Month supply of inventory, last year this time, 2.7. This year, 3.7, increase of 37%. So Randolph County, new listings. Last year this time, it was 340. This year, compared, an increase of a little over 13%. Closed sales, 270. Last year this time, this year, 265, down 1.9%. Days on market, last year, 45. This year, a little bit of an increase, 54 days, which is an increase of 20%. Median sales last year, 277,000, compared to this year, 282,000, which is up slightly 1%. Inventory of homes for sale. Last year, this time, 218. This year, 312, which is an increase of 43.1%. Month supply of inventory, 2.1. Last year, this time, this year is 2.9, which is up about 38.1%. So I still stay optimistic, Bill.
I stay optimistic as well. And I think that's infectious. I think as long as we can help alleviate some of the fears that buyers have right now and help them see the positive aspects of the market, like the growing inventory and more choices out there, I think we'll see the market kick into high gear again.
Absolutely. And I still think this is the perfect time to show our clients our true worth and our true value.
Absolutely, I agree. Speaking of value, Heather Dodson.
Up in Rockingham County, we haven't had a whole lot of, big changes, but there's definitely some to be aware of. It's gone down a little bit up in that area. Our new listings have gone from 356 last year this quarter to 332. So almost a 7% change. So we're not seeing as many listings on the market. And also the closed sales about 8.7% down to 231 from 253. I think one of the biggest takeaways is that the median sales price and the average sales price have stayed about the same. They're around 235 and 257. So there wasn't a whole lot of change there. Now, the days on market did go up about 10%. We're at 64 days on market versus 58 last year. So that was one of the biggest changes, is that properties are sitting a little bit longer and they are getting a little bit less list price per sales price, but only a negative like 0.8%. So not a huge difference there. Now, we do have a little bit more inventory for sale. 314 homes versus 297 from last year. So that's up almost 6%, which, is a good jump. So we're having more on the market. The month supply of inventory went from 3.4 months to 3.7. So that was 8.8% jump. So not a whole lot of big changes up in Rockingham County. Things seem to be holding their stability and everything. So still a pretty good time to put your home on the market up in that area. I also have Oak Ridge and Summerfield, so we could jump to that as well and look at the numbers out there. Really, one of the bigger changes was that we actually have more listings on the market. We've got 118 first quarter versus 100 last year. So that was an 18% increase. So more homes coming on the market. Now, we did lose some momentum in the closed sales. This quarter, we had 50 homes closed versus 63 last year. So that was a 20% decrease. That was, a pretty big decrease up there. And then the days on market went up quite a bit, 19% from 56 to 67. So things are sitting a little bit longer on the market. taking a little bit longer to close. Now, the median average sales price dropped a little bit up there, but not a huge difference. We've got 2.3% and 705 versus 714 last year. So not a huge decrease, but the actual percentage of list price to sales price received went up. So prices went down a little bit, but then it made buyers pay about closer to list price. So that kind of averages it out, which this quarter we're at 99.6%. So things are being priced really well and buyers are paying those prices. The month supply of inventory went up just a tad bit, 6%, 3.3 months of inventory versus 3.1 last year. And there's a little bit more homes for sale in the market that went up 18%, 91 homes versus 77. So people are still selling, and things are starting to balance out a little bit as far as pricing and what buyers are paying for the homes in that area.
It's very interesting how diverse the numbers can be and the ratios can be, because just down the road from Summerfield and Oak Ridge, in the Stokesdale market, it's atypical from a lot of what we've been seeing. The month supply of inventory actually dropped from 3.6 last year to 3.1 months this year. The number of new listings last year were 80, this year 63. Closed sales last year 53, this year to date 34, which is down about 35%. Days on market was about identical between the 2 years. It was 70 days last year, 71 days this year. The average sales price jumped from $413 to $435. So that's a little over 5%. So we are seeing some good appreciation in the Stokesdale area. Number of homes for sale on the market, 72 at this point last year and 56 this year. So that's down 22%. So we're seeing lower inventory in the Stokesdale market, but that resulted also in people getting a lot closer to what their list price was. Last year, list price to sale price ratio was 99%. This year it's 99.3. So although there are fewer homes on the market and fewer choices when the buyers do go in, that is actually, I think, pushing the numbers a little bit closer to the list price that the sellers have. And let's go back down south and see what Asheboro is doing. Month supply of inventory is up drastically from 1.9 to 3.2 months. The inventory rose drastically. There were 70 at this point last year. There are 114 available homes on the market this year. The list price to sale price ratio, 97% last year. This year, the sellers are getting about 98% of their list price. And that average sale price right now is $310,000. Last year, it was $291,000. So the numbers are working in the direction both of buyers and sellers, depending on which category of statistics you want to discuss. Days on market, helping buyers out. It's from 40 days last year to 61 this year, which is about a 50% increase. There have been 98 closed sales so far in Asheboro this year versus 97 last year. So that was virtually identical. New listings on the market in 2025, 120 new listings came in. And in 2026, 129, which is about a 7.5% increase. There are some nice condo and townhome communities in that area, and we saw the number of new listings for those really increase this year over last by about 55%. There were 14 new listings in quarter one in Asheboro this year. Number of closed sales were very similar, 6 last year, 5 this year. The average days on market literally doubled. Last year, the average days on market before going under contract was 33 days. And this year it is 66 days. And again, this is for townhomes and condos. The average price for Asheboro condos and townhomes is now $238. Last year it was $332. So we've seen a little moderation in the pricing, which certainly does help the attainability factor that we need in our area. Percent of list price received, 97.4 last year, 98.2% this year. The inventory of homes for sale last year at this time, 8 properties, again, completely doubled this year. There are 16 inventory homes on the market right now. month supply of inventory just went nuts. Last year it was 3.7 months of inventory. This year, 8.7 months of inventory. So that is a 135% increase. So it's very interesting to see there's fairly significant differences between multifamily and single family in the Asheboro market. And the numbers are a little confusing as well, because we're seeing some real positive numbers and positive results in some categories and some that are going to continue to make it a bit of a challenge. But that is an interesting market, and it is a rapidly growing market in Asheboro. I think there are a lot of bright spots pointing things in the right direction. I think we've been through an upheaval in the economy, in energy costs, in cost of living, in inflation. I think we've seen the bond market bouncing around all over everywhere. I do attribute a lot of that to the war in Iran. I think people are I'm not too sure exactly where we're going or where we're going to end up. And I think that's giving some people some pause. Conversely, though, because that is moving a little bit slower, the inventory is growing. So when people are ready to actually go in and start actively pursuing their next home, there's a lot more to choose from. And that applies also to new construction. We're seeing new construction numbers grow very, very aggressively, and that's in almost every market. So hopefully buyers are going to find exactly what they're looking for and in the area they're looking for it. And they're going to start coming back out of the woodwork. I think most of the indicators seem to be pretty positive at this point.
I agree with you, Bill. Even though buyers have options and choices, it's still a great time to buy and sell a house.
It is. It's always a great time to buy and sell a house.
Absolutely.
And certainly realtors, we would not be biased in any way, shape, or form in that regard. Historically, I know people are very upset because they feel like the rates are so out of control, and they really are not. They've actually been very consistent. We had a hiccup for about 6 weeks when the war started, and I think that seems to be starting to calm back down a little bit. But historically, interest rates at between 6 and 6.5 are exceptionally good rates. Really, if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, the rates are still very good comparatively. Heather, I know you do a lot with buyers. How is your demand? What kind of feedback are you getting from the buyers you're working with?
I will say I think that the buyers are being a little bit more picky about the homes that they're picking. They want more move-in ready because they have less money to potentially put in to do repairs or updates, things like that. Want to get a little bit more off the list price, so a little bit more strict on what they're able to spend as well. I think with the tax increases potentially in Guilford County also, that could potentially be happening depending on the tax rate. That's changed some people's views on what they can afford as well. And I think people are being a little bit more money conscious because of everything that's going on. Is kind of what I've been seeing with my clients. But they're still buying.
In some ways, sanity has returned to the marketplace. I'm seeing sellers more interested in selling. I'm seeing them a little more willing to negotiate on pricing than we saw a couple of years ago. I think we're very gradually edging towards a buyer's market a little bit, which is going to give buyers a little bit more power in the negotiating realm. I think everyone is watching their bottom dollar right now. And Heather, it was great of you to bring up the information about the Guilford County tax increase and that sort of thing. That is hitting, I think, a lot of people with a level of uncertainty until the tax bills actually come out in July. So I think people are naturally being a little more conservative right now until they know exactly what their outlay is going to be and how that's going to apply to purchasing a new home or versus staying in the home they may already be in. Marvette, are you getting similar feedback from the buyers that you work with?
Similar feedback. I will agree with Heather. Buyers are just a lot more picky is a word, but just more astute when it comes to looking at the home. They know exactly what they want and they're not willing to compromise. What I'm seeing is they'll wait. So instead of you showing 2 or 3 homes, you're showing 8, 9, and 10 homes. They're just playing the waiting game. We just have to be diligent and make sure that we provide them with enough information so that they can make an informed decision. We also have to pack our patience. It's not a one and done. They're going to be window shopping.
In a lot of ways, it's really nice having the luxury of window shopping, because I remember not that long ago when a house came on the market, there might be 30 showings on it in a couple of days. You were lucky to be able to put 4 or 5 or 6 houses together to show a prospective buyer at one time. I spent some time with a buyer the other day, and we looked at 11 homes. And I can't remember the last time I showed 11 homes in a day. And all of them were reasonably good fits for what they were looking for. It's nice that there's some choices out there for them to make. And just as you were saying, both of you have been saying, people are a little more cautious in how they're and where they're spending their money. Because we looked at 11 homes and they really didn't like any of them enough to take the step of writing an offer on them.
I did the same thing, and they used that as a benchmark. You know, when was the last time we were in that situation? They looked at 11, my clients looked at 11 homes. They used that as a benchmark to show them what they're actually looking for, what is the criteria that meets what I'm looking for. And so I think, again, packing your patience and just showing our worth.
Absolutely. I think so as well. Well, it's going to be very interesting to be able to do this with the second quarter numbers. We'll go over those as well. You're likely to see the same characters that you see on your screen now. But we will look forward to seeing what the transition has been from the first quarter numbers into the second quarter. Hopefully, there'll be some more national and economic stability. I hope that will pay dividends both for buyers and for sellers. If we can get a nice balanced economy and a balanced market in place, I think it's going to be win-win for everyone. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see you all next time.